every day. You're gaining new knowledge about that field.
So I thought it was interesting last night you were talking about you're looking at different sprayers with C&C spray technology, high clearance, things like that. I mean, we talk about planting, the planter, and the attention to detail at the planter, is probably the most influenceable spot is, at
foundation.
The foundation.
Yeah.
Everything
Foundation.
is set at the planter. Like literally the whole season, the biggest influenceable portion.
Yep.
But it's interesting because you're fine, with what you guys are doing is, okay, how much of a sprayer can I justify with being precise and knowing what the needle we can swing with a sprayer, or its capability of getting through fully tasseled corn or whatever beans, or how much product can we conserve by spraying product on just the grow of crop and not the ground in between, things like that. I mean, that's pretty dang intense management compared to what most guys are doing. Guys are just happy to get something sprayed.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
dude,
no,
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah.
I'm just relieved when I can get everything sprayed.
Yeah, I mean, like even my neck of the woods, I know I've told you this, I don't know if I said it on the podcast, but I really think 90% of our acres are done customly. Like there's just not many people that own their own sprayers, but it's starting to change a little bit.
Sure.
But with that, you don't need a brand new sprayer to go spray your herbicide. Do what you can and how you can get across your acres with, we all know where corn's at. We all know where beans are at. Like, just take a step in the right direction, And I just go back to just the timeliness of having those assets on the farm. I mean, honestly, it's more about the timeliness, and it doesn't matter what product you're spraying. If you get the perfect day, you might be able to knock out, anywhere between a quarter to a half based on how many acres you have on the perfect day.
Right.
You're not on the list for 10 days later when maybe it was too windy and nothing. I'm a commercial applicator. Sometimes you got to get the job done, because if you wait for the perfect timing on every acre,
You won't get it.
you won't have a business for very long.
Yeah.
So there's give and take, and I respect both sides of it. But the benefit of having it on your own is on those perfect days.
Yeah.
You can do it.
I had a precision ag teacher in college, Dr. Carlson, and he was big on the precision ag, but then also knowing your numbers and doing that. And he said, guys, if you're ever building out farm spreadsheets in Excel, don't feel bad if you're overcapitalized on spray equipment and harvest equipment.
Yep.
This is still South Dakota, and Mother Nature still rules.
Yep.
And that comes back to the timeliness of both of those operations and their effect on yield.
I know what the next part 2 is going to be about. We're going to dive into business. I'm so excited.
Oh man, I was gonna have part 2, part 3.
Yeah,
I was gonna do
fair enough.
I was gonna do 100 bushel beans.
Yeah, well, we can do that too.
All right.
Just kind of going back on the stratification part, kind of making sure we wrap that up.
Yeah.
Okay, so a guy that was moldboard plowing versus even no-till or maybe even conventional till, both saw stratification. Very similar, in perspective, similar concepts happening throughout the profile.
Top 2 inches, we take phosphorus for example, 40 to 75 parts per million. You get to 6 inches and below, single digits, both farms. So just see it dive off that cliff from the top 4 to the bottom 6, let's say.
Yep.
And today I still don't have a solution for it. Maybe we talked prior to the podcast here about drip irrigation.
Yep.
In sprinkler irrigation, if you put nutrients on, they move down with the water. It's moving down.
Yep.
In a drip situation, we're seeing that the root and the capillary action pull that up, and so maybe that is a way to counteract some of that is nutrients through drip irrigation or something like that.
Well, and just always remember what's in your water.
Yeah.
If you have a bunch of rain-fed water in a pond, more times than not, just know if it's on a pivot coming down. I can see it today. I can pull a soil sample from one field versus another. I can tell you which one's from a well and which one's from surface water I mean, within
Yeah.
one number. I mean, just what's your base sat calcium? It's
Yeah.
honestly the only number I need, and I can probably tell you what your irrigation is.
Yeah, we have very hard water around here.
Okay.
If you were to send it in, it's 300 grains.
Yep. It's hard. How bicarbs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's something that's need to be pursued more, definitely in the irrigation world, is managing those bicarbonates and trying to do it in the most economic way possible. Because I mean, I was on a talk yesterday, and they were showing me a plan, and it was like $600 an acre if they truly wanted to get the water where they needed it. I don't know many people signing up for $600 an acre
For a growing year? Or,
for a growing year. Yeah.
oh my gosh.
And that's not what they were saying. They're just saying if you wanted to get your
If
water,
you wanted to do it,
this is where
do
it's
it
at, right?
Yeah.
So the part that I was looking at is there certain timings? Like, I really think most of corn yield is lost R3 to R beginning of R5. That's where yield just disappears. Tip back.
Yeah,
I mean, it just disappears.
We've seen it this year.
Yeah, I mean, it disappears there. So is that the time to maybe spend $100 an acre on making sure our water's right? You know?
Yeah.
And
The most impactful times.
yeah. But the argument to that is if your foundation's wrong, because you had to water a little bit in the spring, and your plant's already out of whack, it ain't going to solve the problem at R3. You
Right.
know, so there's balance there, and going into the year,
And
I'm
what,
learning. We're going to keep learning more and share it on this podcast, but I just think it's something for our irrigators out there. Know what your water is at, so you at least know what you're combating, because when you put an inch of water down, your soil becomes your water,
Yeah, absolutely.
and vice versa.
Sure.
So
and what you just said comes full circle back to what you asked me. Why would you put all your inputs up front if you think that high percentage of your yield is made from R3 to R5? I mean, that's when we can, if we've done everything right to that point, that's where our inputs can help us gain yield, in my opinion.
yeah, because I get to the part two. You know, the big thing in the industry right now is what's 97% of the plant? Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. I'm not disagreeing with them at all.
Yeah.
Okay, but those other percentages, those micros, those NP and Ks, if that percentage ain't right, it's not able to take up that 97% very well. So I mean, there's a balance here, and I don't want people to say, well, maybe I don't need NPK. If you're deficient, you're going to see a response. I mean, don't feel like you can just pull P out if your P levels are below, 20 ppms. Like, figure out what your yield limiting factor is on the farm to understand that if you want that 97% of that crop to be as efficient as possible, make as much starch as possible or as much pods as possible, it comes down to making sure that little percent is being efficient. I mean, even you with your foliar spray of zinc, manganese, and copper instead of a fungicide. Okay, I'm not saying that's for every acre. If you have a bad southern rust problem, get it solved with a fungicide, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But in your situation, you were able to suppress the southern rust in that field by applying those micros. And on the flip side, you go to his tissue samples. Zinc's a yield limiting factor on that field.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was the highest bricks field that I sampled yesterday, believe it or not. Now, if you did the eye test, you would say that was the lowest one. But at least tells me that plant in that situation is trying to do everything it can to produce whatever yield it is. It may not be the highest yield,
Right.
but you're getting everything you can out of that plant right now.
Yeah, and there's still 30 days to go on that corn.
Yes.
So kernel depth and all that, I think we're still going to see return from those applications.
Yeah.
And it's going to show up in kernel depth and test weight.
Yeah. So I guess my biggest thing is just those smaller percentages. Yes, they're smaller percentages, but they're just as important. So you can that plant can actually utilize its systems for the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Yeah.
Guys, if you've liked the information that you've seen so far, go ahead and check out the full-length podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. It's also on all the major podcast platforms. We're constantly dropping info and more content on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check it out for a lot more content.